Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Daily Radar, where your fellow foiled friend scans the entire globe for what may or may not be artificial and nefarious activity. We go through satellite radar, as well as the Zippity Zip Zap radar, aka NEXRAD, to better understand atmospheric and environmental conditions in full context. Before we get started, there are a few things that you should know. Number one, I repeat, I am not a meteorologist, but I am a tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorist, which obviously makes me far more qualified to analyze atmospheric conditions. Number two, videos are fairly short, but feel free to skip ahead to any section you're most interested in. And lastly, if you'd like to see these daily radar videos, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Otherwise, this video is about to reach a paywall, and we'll pause right now. Now. Okay. All right, let's get started. Good evening. It is November 16th, about 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get started. So I spent like 4 hours with the internet provider technician, and it's probably some of the most awesome 4 hours I've had all week. He was really invested in figuring out the problem. He even got his buddy on the phone, who's like clearly this ridiculously smart tech, who was working another job, but he brought him in, and we were all, the three of us were just nerding out, doing so many, I don't even know what you would call it. We were trial and erroring a million different things. I even followed him. He let me come to the main street to see where the fiber optics are, like where the hub is for everything nearby. And I got to see where mine was, and he ran like the light through it with this $10,000 tool and saw that there was like stuff in the fiber line, and he cleaned it out. And I asked if I could take a pic. I was like, oh, can I take a picture of that? Like showing me what was in. He said, no, it's company policy. I'm like, okay. We tried a million different things. Turns out there's like, how should I say this? It's a mild conspiracy. Mild cover-up. There's like this whole thing. Basically, the splitter, there's 62 houses on one splitter, and the splitter is only capable of distributing up to 10 gigs. I'm paying for 5 gigs. There's 62 homes on that 10 gig splitter. So people are not going to be getting their full speeds. And so he said that's the way they're doing it now. Like the new developments, that's what they're doing. And so anyway, I'm going to do a whole thing on this. I have invested so much time into this internet project because my goal is to have the fastest internet on the market with zero radiation. Speaking of which, this adapter, I think this is going to be the one that I end up recommending. The one that I was trying out, it was having a couple of glitches the first week, but then it was progressively getting worse and worse and worse. And after about a month, it just didn't work anymore. And I think it's because the Thunderbolt cable was permanently affixed to the unit, whereas this one, external Thunderbolt, I can use whatever adapter I want, and it's not permanently affixed. So if the Thunderbolt goes bad, I don't have to throw out the unit. I can just use another Thunderbolt cable. So anyway, this one's been giving me really good internet, and it's going to be a whole series, guys. I mean, I'm going to release like an actual ebook. I was going to release like a PDF, but it's probably going to have to be like a 15-page ebook, maybe bigger, because I'm probably going to want to use good pictures. But I want to teach people how to do this. There's so many little things. Like I learned about GPON 05, which is like the old fiber gateway. And then, you know what? This is a show about weather radar. And I'm sorry. Okay. We're going to do a general overview of what's happening on NEXRAD. Then we're going to hop into some other data and news. Come back. We'll zoom in. We'll do a deep dive. And then we're going to check out trails, which I preloaded this, but then my computer died. Did it stay? Let's see. Oh, gosh darn it, guys. I let this thing load for a while. Not because I needed to let it sit for a while, just did. And it was perfectly loaded when I came back to my computer. And then it died when I started the show. And then I had to restart the show and reload the page. Wonderful. Okay. Let's see what's been going down. Every single glow you see here is a NEXRAD radar station. The official statement is that's just simply Doppler radar, helping us track weather systems, give us forecasts, things like that. The conspiracy theory, though, is that these towers are equipped with more technology than just Doppler, but that they are capable of manipulating the weather in various ways. One of those ways being that it can heat up the atmosphere. And that is critical because if you can heat up the atmosphere, you can do multiple things. Number one, you can create, well, obviously drought and heat waves. But number two, you create high pressure zones. And high pressure zones can be used as barriers. They are natural barriers to low pressure systems, aka storms. When storms, those are low pressure areas, come up to a high pressure zone, it will be redirected. It will be discouraged from entering that area. So theoretically, if you were a diabolical genius, right, and you wanted to hit a certain area with a hurricane, you could surround on either side. You could surround the hurricane with high pressure zones, encouraging the low pressure system to go in whatever path you want. You could encourage the storm to go wherever you want, essentially. So yes, you can create high pressure zones, you can create heat and drought, and also when you excessively heat up an area next to a space that isn't heating up, you're creating massive temperature swings and collisions of like pretty different temperatures. So, super hot, normal, probably much cooler. When they come into contact, you create massive amounts of wind. Also, some people do theorize that these towers can be used as direct energy weapons or even to manipulate humans themselves. As we all know, as many of us know, every single thing that's in existence is a vibration. Light is a vibration. We are all frequency. And you could literally control anything with the bombardment of certain frequencies. So I see why many people do suspect that could be what's occurring in certain areas at certain times. I don't know for sure, but that's just one of those theories. And also, a lot of people think that these towers can be used in conjunction with cell towers. Not that they're actually cell towers, but maybe like NEXRAD, they're equipped with technology beyond just allowing people to communicate on their phones and access data. Ooh, okay, that looked like it was loaded with trails. How much time are we loading right now? Oh, yes, let me see this. And then we're going to look at more time. Hold on. All right, that's the 14th. As we move into nighttime, the towers get more sensitive. Now we're at sunrise. This is the day. Yesterday, nighttime, and sunrise, daytime, and now this is right now. All right, so last night we had a lot of zip zappery over here and here. Actually, that wasn't last night. I'm sorry. It was the night prior. We already covered that. Okay, this was last night. So some of that static stuff going on in Florida. Clearly there are trails mixed into the precipitation over here. As I warned people in California, don't underestimate that rain coming in. Looks like there's a lot of rain from trails going over New York as well at the same time. California, man. Look at that. It's like swirling and not really going anywhere. Let's see, was any time skipped? No. Okay. And this is right now. Let's see if this matches the bird migration map. Yep. Again, some people think that this is not a legitimate map. That it's because this is NexRad. These are all NexRad towers. When the Doppler bounces off of the birds, apparently it is such a unique signature that they can identify what's birds and what's not. And then they map the birds and show what direction they're flying in. Some people think this map is not real, that this is just a cover-up for some of the strange things we're seeing on NexRad. I kind of disagree. I think it's probably the birds. We see a ton of other really unusual things going on with NexRad that they don't cover up. They do cover up some things. They'll just literally just erase the timestamp completely. Like they'll just be hours missing. Or the whole thing will go down, as we have seen. Okay, so this was moving in last night into today. Yeah, okay, so we definitely have to look at the trail situation over here and over in the western portion of the United States, particularly over California and Nevada. Let's see what we got going downtown. Downtown. Meow, 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 meow. All right, so it's a little difficult to see trails in here when they're like this, but you actually can see them. Line, 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 line. You can really see them on the outskirts. And if you zoom on in, you can see line, 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 line. Line, line, line. Line, line, line. Line, 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 line. This is annoying. You can see a lot of them out here. Many, many lines coming out the edges. All through here, and it's got that remnants. It like turns into this. The other in areas where there aren't trails, you don't see this kind of remnants. Got money. Yeah, so this whole area definitely had trails. And then we saw some interesting things going over New York. And yes, it hasn't fully loaded yet. But indeed, I do see the trails. Trail, 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 trail. Many trails that are obvious to see here because there's no other clouds below it or above it. Oh yeah, I should probably, I don't know, we'll do a deep dive, but just FYI, you can look at right here. Color indicates altitude, but pink is dust. Its own little separate category. Yeah, lots of trails. Ooh, and lots of trails coming in from Canada. All right. Precipitation with trails looks unique. That's why I can always tell. Same with over here too. It's got that blurry looking color. It's like a solid color that's blurry. All right, let's look at the weather warnings. Remember, I have the fire thing. In fact, should I turn that off? How do I turn this off? What? Whoa, that's cool. All right, this is rip current warning. I clicked on this earlier. Hello. Rip current statement. Got gale winds out here. Gale winds out by Maryland and West Virginia. You've got some wind advisories on the eastern side. We have in Pennsylvania in the northwestern side, extreme lake effect snow warning. I don't see that often. I don't see extreme warnings often. So take that seriously. Total snow accumulations between 5 and 8 inches, wind gusting as high as 50. Visibility may be dropped below a quarter of a mile. and moderate winter weather advisories up there as well. Throughout New York, we've got moderate winter weather advisories as well as severe winter weather storms. Over in Vermont, same thing. Western Massachusetts, Western Connecticut, northeastern Pennsylvania, and along the entire coastline of the Northeast for gale warnings. On the Great Lakes, we've got some snow squalls, although that's not even the United States. That's cool. That's crazy that like right here is Canada and it's called London. Southeastern Wyoming, severe high wind warning. Eastern central Wyoming, moderate winter weather warning. Western Colorado, moderate winter weather advisory. Southern Utah, same thing. Southern Nevada, moderate winter weather advisories. Even as far south as Las Vegas. Yep. And in California, as you might expect, moderate winter weather advisories, as well as severe flood watches still in place. In northwestern California and southwestern Oregon, we have hazardous seas warnings and moderate gale wind warnings. Oh, interesting. What is this little red spot? I'll click on any red spot around the world. What is this, fire? Extreme civil emergency. 3 armed suspects were shooting at people near the community. These men are very dangerous and were last seen 3.5 kilometers north of Peerless. If you're in the area, take shelter immediately. Go inside and lock all doors and windows. Do not open the door to strangers. Report sightings to 911. Interesting. I've seen that twice, that they put that. Oh, what's this? In Montenegro, extreme wind warning. We don't see that often out here. Ooh, extreme wind warning over here too. Where the heck is this? Where am I? Oh, okay. Mongolia. I believe that's Oh no, that's China. Mongolia is over here. I knew Mongolia was next to Kazakhstan, but I forgot that China's right between them. Right here at the very tip. Mongolia. All right. No hurricanes. And this dust is still at bay over here. Looks like it's jutting out just a little bit more. We shall see. Again, hurricane season is coming to an end, but does that mean anything to me? No. Looks like there's a fire over here, guys, but I cannot assume that that's actually from a fire, because what did we learn from Utah that carried this exact signature for like over a week with no fire? Yeah, it doesn't mean that it's a fire. It means that there's something else going on. And there might not even be any news about it. In fact, with the Utah situation, there was no news about it. Let's see, what's the fire situation? What the heck? Where'd it go? Where'd the fire map go? Right here. So like here's Washington. It's kind of right of center. Washington, kind of right of center. I could see the smoke probably being over here. So what's going on over here? The heck does this mean? That doesn't tell me a lot. Well, there are fires there. I assume, I mean, there's quite a few. There is a mountain ridge there, and maybe the smoke is just kind of trapped there, but why aren't we seeing things like that over here? Or there's more fires even closer over here, over here. Jeez, that's bad. $279. This is really bad. Huh. Nitrogen dioxide moves with the sun. She know what she's got because she said on it. So this is high in nitrogen dioxide, PM 2.5. Sulfur dioxide doesn't seem to be a big issue right there. Definitely still here. I am curious. I still want to know what the heck this is. Surface ozone, not to bed. Carbon monoxide, as usual, pretty good here. Bad everywhere else. We already checked out dust. Let's look at this fire danger, shall we? Why is my foot feeling like it's on an ice pack? It's like the wind. Yeah, there's like it's like a wind tunnel where my foot is. Hold on. All right, fix the wind tunnel. So looking over at my cats. They're so adorable right now. They each have their own little, I have these, I don't buy a lot of decoration, but I really want to invest in decor. I just can't bring myself to do it. I want where I live to be, you know, nice to look at. But then when I'm like, oh, no, because I want to pay for like air samples and like water samples and, you know, do investigation stuff. Like I want to buy, I can't even tell you some of the stuff I want to buy, but because it would mess with my investigation. But anyway, I'd like some decor. Anyway, I did put some money into some couch pillows, and but I sit on this hard bench at the dining room table. It's pretty much my office because I hate working in a room. I want to be in the house. Otherwise, I feel like I'm in some kind of dungeon. But I put these my nice couch pillows. I end up just putting on the hard bench because the cats want to be next to me, and I just don't want them laying like on a hard surface. So I bring the couch pillows over. So they're laying on my pretty couch pillows over there. My one cat, my girl cat, she was obsessed with this internet guy. She just kept rubbing all over him. He was cool about it. I kept trying to ask her to go away. I was like, you know, I can put her in a room. He's like, no, I love cats. I have five animals and like, I don't know how many kids, 3 kids. Chill guy. But she likes the men. She does. She likes the guys. Extreme fire warning here and here. Lots of low pressure, low pressure, low pressure, high pressure. You know, guys, I reset this map. I did. I reset the map. This was refreshed at, okay, so it was refreshed like an hour ago. You know what? No, we're going to settle this. We need to see if this thing has changed or if it's been frozen stiff. Okay. I think the smoke, I'm showing you the show from the 10th, 6 days ago. I don't see a single difference in the smoke. Now, I definitely see a difference in the fires. Those are still working. But there's no freaking way. You see this extra little pocket of smoke here and here? Yeah, we're seeing them here and here. This smoke map has not been updated. Or there's some really crazy consistencies. But I doubt it. I think this extra smoke would have been from fires that had been there. So I'd have to go back and see when the last time it changed. I mean, I feel like it's been 10 days, maybe. It's been a while. Yep, so cannot trust this. This is supposed to be. This is fire.airnow.gov. I don't understand what's wrong with their smoke map. And if the smoke wasn't working, why are they still displaying the old smoke map? I mean, I guess there's a chance that it's different. You know, I should have looked up these little tiny little pieces here. Okay, so I just spent way too much time on this. I looked at every one of my shows, which thankfully you can scroll. Like, you can click on any date and you can like stop at whatever map you want to get more information on. And I just, I stopped at the fire one. So October 20th was the last day where the smoke was actually accurate. I didn't think that the smoke would be wrong, but all their fire indicators were correct, because the fire indicators are correct. They have been shifting every single day. But around the 22nd of October, they like froze on what we've been seeing every day. And yeah, honestly, I should have noticed it earlier that something was wrong with the smoke map, because it just kept going and going, looking the same. It was consistent with that sulfur dioxide we were seeing in that area taking on the freaking same shape. So I gotta reach out. I'm gonna reach out to them and be like, hey, your smoke hasn't been shifting. It's been like 3 weeks now. So yeah, don't look at the smoke. This is identical. I believe it's identical. In fact, let's just triple check. There's 1, 2 in North Carolina and 2 in South Carolina. Yep, this is from October 23rd. 2 here and 2 here. So this is the day that caused the smoke. Solved that mystery. Spent 15 minutes on that. That's great. See, this is why I can't do the show live. So if I did the show live, the show would be like 2 hours long. I cut out all the waiting for you guys. I was looking at the earthquake map. I'm not really seeing much. Just trying to look for anything abnormal worth mentioning. I mean, this is definitely a big one off the coast of Mexico City. It's a 5.2. That is decent, but it's on the fault line. Isn't this also where we saw a 4.5 magnitude earthquake? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I was thinking, is this the same place? Place that's having extreme wind? No, that's more north. Yeah, that's a pretty decent sized one for Turkey. 4.5 over in India. 5.1, Russia. It's so weird to think that Russia is out here. I always think of Russia as like, oh, that's all the way over there. Like, 'cause I always think about it like it's over there, because that's how maps are. We always see the U.S. over here, and then this. But actually, no, it's like right here. It's like right here. Record-breaking November heat wave grips the South after major deep freeze for millions. The heat surge isn't done yet, with the warmth shifting to the southern plains and southeast this week. Over 100 million Americans are expected to experience warmer than normal temperatures to start the week. This might be bad, but my initial gut reaction is, oh yeah, let me bask and melt in the sun. All right, normies.
Like you get on the I-10 and the fog arrives. So just be aware of that for tomorrow morning. Oklahoma City, back out across the plains. Let's go here next because we have some warm-up to talk about. In fact, it has really been a roller coaster across this part of the country. We were in the freezer at the start of last week. We closed out the week breaking records, and we broke more than 100 records again yesterday. We broke, I think, like 180 records on Friday, and then we have more than 140 records from yesterday alone, and more records today, more records Monday, more records Tuesday. So this warmth rolls on, and we are going to see temperatures back up near 90. 90, by the way, in Lawton, Oklahoma, is the previous warmest November temperature on record. And we beat it yesterday at 92. Not only is it now the warmest November day on record, but it is also the latest 90-degree day on record. And when you take a look at that temperature swing, Monday last week was 24 degrees, a high temperature of 55. Yesterday, now the warmest November day on record. So all that happening in a matter of 7 days. So yeah, I don't blame you if you're one just brought out the gloves.
It's totally normal. It's totally normal.
And the jacket, and now, you know, you can toss them, at least put them back nicely in the closet, because it's going to stay warm through the rest of this weekend. Of course, opening up the week, and this warming pattern, we've mentioned it all afternoon, is expected to last in the Southern Plains probably through the end of the...
Who's with me? Who wants to go to Texas right now and just lay down in the sun and maybe get skin burns, sunburn? Not skin burn. I guess it should be called a skin burn because the skin is burning from the sun. Wow, that sounded really dumb. But I'd love to go to Texas right now. And then again, you know, you got to keep in mind that the atmosphere might actually be thinning, and the UV might actually be dangerous, because the UV might be abnormally high entering through the weakened shield. That is a theory. I don't know. Maybe the atmosphere isn't thinning. I do find it odd that we've had multiple geomagnetic storms visible as far south as Texas and Florida. That's freaking weird. And Wales' backs are burning. That's also weird. I don't know. Some clues are pointing towards the fact that the atmosphere might actually be thinning. Question is, why? Or the sun is beaming out more powerful rays, more powerful, not emissions. What's the word? I was looking for the name, but yeah, there's actually multiple things. So like the solar wind, the solar flares, the coronal mass ejections. What if there's an increase in those? But I don't know. The sun should be pretty darn predictable. I would think the more likely cause of the increase in UV would be that somehow we're weakening our shield.
The month. We've got potential records on the board for Monday. Now, all of this heat building in with the flip of our storm pattern, right, with our jet stream becoming more active in the west, does mean one thing. We do have severe weather to talk about. Now, the extent and the magnitude of the severe storms, we're still ironing out those details, but I can tell you rain is on the way. So heads up here, Dallas down the I-5 corridor. Then we take it up into Oklahoma. This is Wednesday afternoon. The severe weather risk, and there's not a ton of movement with this storm system, at least initially. And so we're talking the potential of repeated rounds of rain. That is going to lead to a flood risk. Here we are into Thursday. Thursday night, we begin to shift this into the Mississippi Valley. And that's where this then starts to bleed into spots like Middle Tennessee, up through the Ohio Valley. But this is the bullseye in which we're going to get the heaviest of rain. And this is where we need the rain, right? There are parts of Oklahoma, there are parts of Louisiana, Arkansas that have not received a single drop of rain over the course of the month of October. So we definitely need it, but we just hope that it's not too much all at once. But this warming trend expected to continue, and an early heads up that we know it's going to be active this week, but the possibility of it staying active into Thanksgiving week could also spell more stormy trouble, especially if you have travel top of mind.
It's the top of the mind.
But the warming...
All right, let's check out this atmospheric river, something that has been shifting more north, a distance. So they tracked how the atmospheric rivers are shifting. They have shifted north the same distance between LA and like San Francisco. That's a decent amount of space. So that's why we're starting to see this stuff further and further from the equator. question is, what the heck's causing it? Because any climate model that's been in existence didn't see it coming. All these climate scientists loading up the normies.
The storm reports has just begun to come on in, and we have over 120 of them. And Haley, we're talking about even a small sinkhole opening up in South Pasadena. There's a lot going on.
What? Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest concern with an area like this is the terrain. You have the transverse ranges, I mean, the Santa Monica Mountains, they're everywhere. And so that was the biggest element of concern going into this event. And you see how it transpired with mudslides, rock slides, all across Southern California.
Yeah, Nick.
I used to go here all the time. Interstate 405 in Pico. Oh, Pico Boulevard. I used to skateboard down that sidewalk in the middle of the night around 2 a.m. because I was a college student just thinking I was so free and nothing could hurt me in the middle of the night. And I got really lucky. Good times. Anyway, they're flash flooding, so sorry to...
Nick, this has been really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, months worth of rain slammed Southern California yesterday, and the flash flood warnings and evacuation orders were lifted. Excuse me. High water mudslides and rock slides are still a concern today. We've got Fox weather meteorologist Bane Froney live in the Pacific Palisades. Bane, how's it looking?
She's praying. I'm just kidding.
Hey guys, hopefully you guys can hear me right now. Looks like I might have lost IFB, but if you guys can hear me right now, we're currently out here right now on a road. So, I mean, outside right here, we're actually watching out for someone that has actually just gotten stuck in the mud. It was a very scary situation this morning, and we're expecting to see quite a bit more situations just like this one. And heads up, I did jump back on IFB, so if our producers want to chat with me, I'm available. But you can see out there right now, I mean, currently trying to get our buddy Bob out of the mud at this point. And he was stuck here for a few hours. My field producer and I came across this road. We got some reports that this road was completely muddied up and hopefully able to get him out there safely. But I do want to touch on a little bit of what's been going on here. I mean, we saw inches and inches of rain falling, and this is a spot in the country that does not normally see this much rainfall. I mean, we're talking 2 to 3 inches falling throughout LA County, more in other areas. We'll get to that in a little bit. But, I mean, even looking at the mud underneath me right now, I mean, this is thick. I mean, this is a dirt road, so normally we do see just a little bit of mudding happening here, but...
What? You're standing in a dirt... I can't... What's the point of this shot? They're okay. They found the only drama they could. They're standing on a road. I thought, wow, that's a lot of freaking mud. They're standing on a dirt road. Someone needs to teach these people that when dirt gets wet, it becomes mud. Okay, this was ridiculous. I'm sorry for wasting your time. That was freaking... We have a meteor shower.
A little while ago, we did speak with astronomer Derek Pitts as we continue to keep our eyes to the skies this week, starting off with that meteor shower. It's the Leonid meteor shower, and here's what you need to know. It peaks tonight, at best, about 10 to 15 meteors per hour. These are moving pretty quick, I guess you could say, 44 miles per second. It's much faster than I made my way to work today, as the traffic for the holidays are really starting to grow close to Times Square. Look off to the east, high in the sky, and you want to go out when the moon is low. That's especially important this time around, as we do have the full moon that's coming up later this week. So you've got what's closer to a full moon, a lot of light pollution with that. So if you can minimize that, you got a better shot of bumping those numbers up closer to the 10 to 15 meteors per hour. If that's not your thing, you do have a partial lunar eclipse, very close to a total lunar eclipse. We're talking about more than 97% eclipse here. What's happening is the Earth is right in between the sun and the moon. So the Earth's shadow essentially is being cast onto the moon, which gives it that kind of shadowy look. You got that reddish hue to it. And this one is particularly special. It lasts very long. In fact, the longest in close to 600 years, because it's occurring when the moon is almost at a max distance from the Earth, which actually prolongs the period that the moon the time that it's spent within the Earth's shadow. This is what you need to know for the eclipse. We're saying Thursday night, it's really early Friday morning. It starts at about 2:30. You can expect the peak of it, 4 a.m., a hard shadow, and then it starts emerging out of that shadow at 5:30.
Yeah, so something to check out. All right, let's zoom on in. Let's see what's going downtown. Wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. Trails, trails. It's interesting how this tower is picking up this precipitation. Oh. Remember, we have dead zones. It doesn't look like, it looks like it looks like the dead zone here has been cleared. Possibly, I'd have to see more precipitation come through. I'm just looking at this topographic map. So there are high mountains here. When we saw some of the dead zones, they were in areas that didn't have high mountains. It didn't make sense. Plus, we saw no dead zone there prior. I do see over here, it's probably hitting the mountain range, so it's probably not a true conspiracy. Oops. Oh yeah, look it is going over that just fine. Why are you all glitchy? Let's move on. Yep, so it looks like there's trails here. Some of these towers were not transmitting. This one went out. The good thing is this was going through, I'm not seeing any like, you know, rippled radar. I didn't see any of that, the crazy stuff that you normally see before major hailstorms, tornadoes, like wicked levels of rainfall, like the abnormal stuff. So that's good. Trails are in that precipitation. Nothing really else to mention there. Yeah, this was pretty crazy. This was yesterday. We looked at this and the way, look at that. I'm looking at the far eastern side and then, oh, look at that. We have some of that flame-like radar coming off North Carolina and South Carolina. How long did that last? It started around here, 1745, stopped. Okay. Went about like a half a day. So that is interesting. I do wonder about severe winds, possible fires in South Carolina and North Carolina. What were the warnings? Over here. Where am I? Come on, we can do it. All right, there were no warnings here, but whenever I have seen that, it usually means that the area might have fires in the next 24 to 72 hours, or some really crazy levels of wind. So we'll have to. What am I doing? We'll have to check North Carolina and South Carolina out for that. Increased activity here, here, and here. But what was the bird map? Yeah, there shouldn't be that many birds there. Oh yeah, and here's the remnants of that really interesting static zip zappery pattern we had. Lots and lots of activity over here. My goodness. Today, nothing really worth mentioning. Except for over here. Some of that static stuff was continuing. All right. Yeah, that was nuts up here. Again, usually means that there's come like excessive heat. Wait a minute, I've said this, remember? Interesting. It's following that pattern. So in the areas that I've seen this, it usually means that the area is going to get hot. And this is intense. And I believe that's exactly where they showed that heat map. Let's see if we can find temperature. Scooch forward. This looks different from what I saw on Fox. On Fox, it was showing that area was red down to Texas. But maybe there's not a connection. We'll see. Looks like this area is getting lit up. Same with Texas. Look at that. Ooh, oh my gosh. Okay, that's freaking creepy. Does this look like a face to you? Oh, how do I zoom in? Whoa. That's creepy. Oh, okay. This should have appeared on Halloween. Are you, am I crazy? Am I, where's the, you seen it? Lip, mouth, nose, giant eye sockets, forehead, chin. This looks like a super creepy face. It's probably just a coincidence. Seriously though, it probably is a coincidence, but that's freaking. That's creepy. In fact, this whole area was really, it was given everything. It was the static zip zappery. It was, you got the ninja zip zappery. You got the rippled radar. Sorry for those of you who are new. These are just, now they call these artifacts, are the reflection off of birds and insects. Some people think it's evidence of frequency manipulation. Huh. Okay, besides that horror show going on up there, we'll just ignore that glowing skull shooting lasers out of its eyes and look down at Texas. And not much to mention. All right, time to look at the trails. Actually, you know what? No. What time was that happening? Around sunrise. It really got nuts around then. Really nuts. For a long time. 4:25 UTC to like 16:45 UTC. That's a lot of time. 4:45 UTC to 16:45 UTC. 4:45 UTC. Okay. We gotta go back. Wait, what day was that? It was on the 15th. All right, we're going to load that after because right now I have today loaded up. All right, we have trails over Florida right now, and Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Had them earlier today too. And we already looked up here. This place was loaded with trails. I just keep hearing the because that's what I was thinking when I saw the face. Dun, 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 dun. Trails out here too. Trails out here. Sorry. There were trails in here, trails in the Pacific, trails up Seance in Canada. Yes. Meow, 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 meow. Here and here. Here, 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 here. Yeah. Ziggoing. Remember what I said about increased particulate will allow for the formation, the more likely formation of persistent contrails. Wouldn't it be something if these ground-based generators were doing the majority of this particulate dispersal and they were doing it like in the ocean or in the middle of nowhere all over the country, and that all that particulate dispersal going up into the atmosphere was just creating conditions in which persistent contrails were forming from every plane going by? That'd be interesting, right? That what if they're actually not chemtrails, that they are just unusual persistent contrails because the particulate was actually dispersed into the atmosphere another way? That's something to consider too. I say that because this area has had pretty bad AQI. There's quite a bit in the air. So I do wonder when... Actually, no, this area does. So I don't really see anything over that area. I do see some down here, which is unusual. Yeah, look at that. There's some down here. It's unusual to see that. There's also some in here. Now, this is where I have seen it. And usually it makes its way over Texas by the time it's kind of down lower towards the ground level. Interesting stuff going on in Mexico. I've only seen trails over Mexico maybe a handful of times all year. Plenty of trails still headed into Southern California as well. Wait a minute. Okay. Come on. Trails in here heading into Chile and Argentina. Looks like there's some still coming in off here going into Chile and Argentina. It looks like there's some mixed in here as well. You know, I can't see any obvious ones in here, so I can't really say that. It just, the outskirts, the way I guess that's pretty low altitude, so maybe not. I don't know. I just get the feeling that they're in there, but I can't say that there are. Oh, wait. I still don't feel confident enough to say for sure because I can't see definitively that there are. I think my subconscious may see something that I'm not. I get the feeling that it's here, I just can't see it. Or know that I'm seeing it. All right, we're in the Southern Pacific. We already talked about this area here. There are trails in here and trails in here. Trails up here. In here. And you know that that particulate idea would explain why we see the trails really show up around here. Now you could also argue that, oh, they are just, they're also just there because that's where the planes are gonna land. No, that doesn't make any sense because they're still flying all through, but they're colliding near land. So, yeah, that doesn't make sense because sometimes I'll just see the trails here, but not right here. Australia still has some trails in their southern region. I've had a lot of Aussies commenting about that lately. It looks like they're really going strong on their southeastern side as usual. Yeah, there's trails in this system too, heading into New Zealand. We've been seeing that for the last, couple of weeks. I've seen that happen for a few weeks at a time, a few times this year. So they're not nearly as frequent there as they are in Canada, the United States, and Europe. Looks like there's trails coming in over China and possibly this area here. We'll switch satellites at some point. It looks like there's trails in here up in Russia. They usually trail over here, but sometimes I've seen them over here. They had plenty here a few weeks ago. Also, something interesting to note, if you flood the area with particulate, with enough particulate, you can actually stop storms from occurring. There was a recent MIT study that found that stratospheric aerosol injection actually did prevent storms. And instead of the moisture forming into these clouds, the moisture was just spread out in the troposphere, creating humidity. Humidity is just pretty much water suspended in air. So instead of these moisture molecules colliding into clouds and then falling down as a solid, falling down as rain, it was just suspended everywhere because the particulate was preventing that formation. But you can't prevent it forever, right? So what happens is the moisture just would build up and build up and build up and build up to the point where even the particulate couldn't hold it back. And so these clouds were forming, these super tall clouds. And then you create extreme storms, which is funny because extreme storms release a ton of heat, ultimately negating the entire purpose of stratospheric aerosol injection, because you actually end up heating the surface. You heat up the troposphere by doing that. Remember, the Earth generates heat from within, and the sun, whether you think you're blocking it or not, any heat that gets in needs to get out. And if you're trying to block it, you really can't. You can't block it. You're just going to end up capping it in. But, you know, remember a couple nights ago I showed you Musk said he could use satellites to reflect the sun strategically. Yeah. I mean, again, that's you know, there's two sides to that. One, you could say, no, don't reflect the sun. You know, how about we just let the planet stay natural? But also, there's a benefit to him saying that, because then you could say, look, we have a solution that doesn't require spraying a crazy amount of poison all over the planet. So there's no need to do that anymore. And since they might not actually be doing this to cool the planet, might be for some other reason, then that would really cause some issues. I don't know, man. There's some crazy theories out there. Like, one of the theories is that there's like an alien race here that's been here, and they're trying to make the planet more conducive, like more like the planet they need to be on, where they actually do cool the planet. Trails here. I've been seeing those in that area quite a bit lately. In here and up here. And all over Europe. And I see that smoky haze over here. They're over there too. Oh man, poor Italy. My people, my Italians, my brethren, my ancestors. Let's see. You can see the faint trails. I feel a lot of trails over there. In fact, let's switch satellites to really get a good view of that. Or a better view, at least. It's actually not much of a better view. In fact, hold on. Let's remove... There we go. There's so many nations out here. What the heck just happened? What is this? That's weird. All right, well. Yeah, you can see a lot of trails in here. Off of Italy. Interesting. It's pretty excessive over here. I do wonder what's going on over here politically. And I did not forget, I do need to come back and check. So we saw the alien demon face shooting lasers at 14:05 on November 15th. All right, so at around the very start of the 15th is where it started to get really staticky over here. So we are approaching. Right here is when we start to see that static really picking up, right in this area. Right now. And then what time do we see it go away? So static picks up. We see that freaking crazy face. Gone by 17:05. Right around there. When does that face appear? Jeez. Around 13:45 is when it peaks. Around here, when this like black area arrives. That's how it's reacting to that. 1345 is when this cloud gets over here. Interesting. Well, have a good night's sleep. Bye.